Hello dear students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. In the series of the lectures of International Human Resource Management, today we are going to start up from the unit number 5 and we are going to study the emerging trends in international human resource management. We need to understand the different emerging trends in global HR when in terms of international human resources, because a lot number of external factors come into play. Now, when we talk about the external factors of the business, a number of factors like political factors, cultural factors, social cultural factors, then technological factors, all these factors come into play and accordingly these factors influence the business and its processes. So, whenever we talk about these factors, they also influences the human resource. So, it is a big challenge for a human resource department to understand these particular influences and to understand to cope up with these influences in the external environment, that is in the host country. So, first of all we need to understand what are the basic challenges that the global HR is going to face. As an HR manager and their teams are well aware of the various challenges that are coming from the growing technology, that are coming from the multi-region workforce that is present in the host country. So, these challenges present an environment for the human resources, and the human resource department has to strategically prepare itself and its employees to cope up with these particular challenges. So, very first one is the finding the right international candidate in the foreign market. Now, when we talk about finding the right international candidate in the foreign market, it means deploying a very strong kind of strategy while staffing is required. And when we have talked about staffing, we have three kinds of approaches, that is ethnocentric approach, we have regiocentric approach and we have polycentric approach. Now, accordingly organization takes any of these particular kind of approaches to staff the people. It is particularly concentrated that whenever it is hiring from the international market, it is hiring from the host country or the third nation country, it has to hire the right type of candidate with right kind of skill sets or experience sets he is having. Because once the person starts working in the subsidiary company in the host country, over there a lot number of external factors come into play. So, these people should be competent enough, should be skilled enough, so that they are able to understand the different forces that are from the external factors, and they are able to prepare different strategies to plan accordingly to work with these forces. Secondly, we have updating PTO policies. Now, when we are talking about PTO policies, it is called paid time off policy, and according to this policy, what is done, the organization gives the employees a number of leaves, and these leaves can be sanctioned to the employees without any loss of pay. So, these are the accumulation of leaves which the employee can use at the time of say sickness, marriage, bereavement, vacations or any other sometime of when he wants to use it for his personal use. So, these PTO policies will always differ from the home country itself. Now, once moving into the host country where a subsidiary company is established, over there the paid time off policies will be somewhat different, and they will be dependent upon the political factors, the government rules, the different laws they are applied to the employees, and of course, the different categories of employees. So, when we are talking about the leaves, they are applied to different category of employees. So, over here it is important to understand that whenever there are employees in your organization, in which category you are going to put them, because according to the category they are going to get the different kinds of leaves in the organization and other benefits that the organization provides them. So, this is the second kind of challenge that the global HR is going to face. Thirdly, when talking about different employee data, now when we are talking about the host country, the data that the organization has, the personal data, the other kind of professional information about the employees that they are there in the organization, the organization has to keep some kind of privacy policy, privacy legislations, laws which govern this data, because if this data is being leaked out or is being known to other persons outside the organization, it can be used for some other non-purposeful use. So, over there the privacy of the data and the laws regarding the data should also be understood. understood. Now, when talking about the host environment over there in other different country where people are there from the home country, host country and the third nation country, this data becomes more important and more important to make it private. So, other legislations that particular country is following, like cyber rules, different kind of cyber information, that should be that the organization should be aware of beforehand. This is just a few examples of the challenges which impact international human resources management. A market that is growing at an annual rate of 11% will reach more than $30 billion by 2025. That means international human resource management is going to grow in near future. So, every time we are talking about human resources, it is not only a developmental role, it is also a role of a strategic partner in the organization. Now, as the organizations invest in global HR initiatives, they make sure that they consider these trends that are significantly impacting the business, because these trends, when talking about different trends that are related to human resource management, they are used to design and implement policies within the organization. So, according to these trends only, we are going to set up the different policies within the organization if the organization wants that it succeeds in near future. Now, talking about the different challenges, they give evolvement to the different kinds of role that the human resources has to perform. Now, depending on these challenges, the very first kind of role is that HR is moving from being in just a supportive role to the evolving strategic partner role. Now, when talking about a strategic partner role, that means earlier what used to happen, the human resource management was just into a kind of supporting role. That means hiring of the people was done, and all kinds of support like motivational support, study of all kinds of psychological effects that the employees were having, these were being done, and strategies were being made or the plans were being made so that motivation, morale and the productivity of the employees may increase. But nowadays what is happening is that HR is playing more of a strategic role. That means it is helpful, it is gaining more light in the form of bringing itself up as a strategic partner in the organization. Now, when we are talking about a strategic partner, it means the different processes of human resources, like we can say hiring, training and development of the people, then placement of the people, right person at the right time at the right place in the organization. All these things need to be strategized, all these things need to be pre-planned in the organization. So, now just performing the functions is not enough for the human resources, it is also working towards proper implementation of processes as well as ensuring the success of each of the process in the organization. Thus, the emergence of HR business partner positions are underlined these trends. So, first of all, we need to understand that the role is keeping on shifting from the supporting role to the strategic partner role. Secondly, we can say all the successful organizations are maximizing the value of this strategic position. They are giving importance, they are giving more and more focus to this strategic position of the human resource management. So, they are now shifting their responsibility from typical day-to-day HR tasks like updating of records, updating of employment records, reviewing of the records, analyzing of the records, to initiative to help each of the organization's objective achievement. Now, of course, HR is going to perform the basic day-to-day activities which are related to employees in the organization, whether we are talking about their attendance, we are talking about their leaves, we are talking about their illness, or any other kind of issue that is related to employees in the organization. This has to be done on day-to-day basis. Along with this, all these activities are integrated with the organizational objectives. Now, what is happening? Earlier, individual objectives were used to be integrated with organizational objectives. Nowadays, what is happening? all the particular processes of human resources, the day to day activities of human resources are being integrated towards the achievement of overall organization objectives. Now, when attaching each and every day task with organizational objective is the main motive. Now, when the person attaches, when the person relates the day to day activities with organizational objectives, the day to day activities become more fruitful, more productive for that particular employee. So, what all organizations, good organizations where global HR is being practiced, they are doing, they are integrating the day to day HR activities, the day to day processes of HR, they are integrating it with the organizational objectives and trying to come up with a synergistic kind of outcome where 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. Thirdly, we can say to manage this shift, how this shift can be managed. These responsibilities of HR can be outsourced. Some of the responsibilities of HR are now outsourced, like payroll, hiring, benefits of the passing responsibilities to the other departments, so that the other strategic role of the human resources can be done more efficiently. So, the different processes, the day to day activities are now being shifting to the core department itself. That means, department will be self responsible for developing its payroll, for hiring of the different candidates or lining up of the candidates, and just final round or the final, you can say, final hiring of the candidate will be done by the HR department. So, why is this shift there? Because the departments know their responsibilities, their activities well ahead than the human resource department. Though when we are talking about human resource department, it does its job description role. So, when it describes the job, it knows that what kind of responsibilities and duties are going to come along with the job. But the people who are already in that department, who have gone through those jobs, are well more aware than the HR department about that particular job. So, these particular activities like payroll, hiring, benefits and passing of the responsibilities can be done to the departments and can be overall measured and evaluated by human resource department at the end. Now, during this period, what human resource department can do? It can strategically prepare plans to evaluate these processes, evaluate the outcomes of these processes and to come up with various strategies so that these processes can be implemented in a much better way. Now, what major business transformation projects like conducting an end-to-end review of organization's recruitment process and maximizing value of human capital management investment can be owned and managed by HR in collaboration with the other departments. So, during the other time, during the different when it is free from these activities like payroll, hiring and benefits, the different transformation can come along in the human resource department, where human resource department is going to focus more on the organization's recruitment process and how this process can be improved. And then a term that is human capital management system. This can be further developed because now what human resources are? Human resources are the human capital of the organization. That means, if organization invests in them, it will be a long term investment for the organization, where the skilled person, the educated person, the experienced person will remain with the organization for a very longer period of time, and along with it he will be able to assist the organization in a better manner. Lastly, we can say cross functional activities like quick elevation HR position within the organization, defining them as an able and willing department. This is agile enough to meet growing demands. Now, cross function activities are also performed in the human resource position. Now, that means over here the different activities of the departments can be cross functional. That means, similar kind of functions can be performed by the department itself along with the help of the human resource management department. So, in this way what will happen? Suppose in sales department a sales executive has to be hired. Now, for this hiring, a person from the sales department can come in front and a person from the HR department. Now, HR department person will exactly exactly explain in detail the process of hiring, and what this sales department person will do, he will explain the type of characteristics required by the person who can be hired for this particular job. So, both of them from different functional fields can come forward and carry on this hiring process for the sales department in an effective manner. Now, moving on to the exactly trends of the human resource development department or global HR department. The very first trend is changing employee expectations. Now, when we are talking about employee expectations are the expectations that the employee has from its organization. Now, that means what all benefits or features that are there that the organization provides to its employees, so that they remain attracted towards their organization and they remain with their organization for a longer period of time. We all know that with the change of time, the expectations of the employee change, because he needs growth, he needs training, he needs development in his job. So, he wants something extra from his organization for the work that he is doing for his organization. So, 2019 was marked the first time in the history that 5 different generations worked together at the same time, and in 2020 will be the 4th year that the millennials constitute the largest generation in the labor force. Now, when we are talking about different labor force across the industries within India and in the host country, we can see over there that 5 different generations are working together, and in this particular year 2020, even though 75% of US millennials want their work environment to be flexible and fluid, Deloitte Global Millennial Survey found that the 39% believe that the work environment is flexible. Now, what over here we can see the expectations can be met out when the working environment, the work space of the employee is fluid and flexible. Now, while when we are talking about flexible or fluidity of the environment, it means the liberty, the freedom that the person is experiencing while working on a particular job. So, if he is assigned with a particular job, he is assigned with a particular task, the degree of authority, the degree of freedom that he is exercising while performing that task is related to the fluidity or flexibility. So, now what organizations want? Organizations want the employees to work and they should be productive in future. But what employees want? Employees want that yes, they should be fluid, they should be productive for the organization and efficient for the organization. But once they are efficient, this will come only when the organization gives them some kind of fluidity, gives them some kind of flexibility in their work, so that they are able to perform on their jobs. If stress is related with the job, if pressure is related with the job done will not be that efficient as it was being done in the flexible environment. So, what HR talent teams do, they can attract and retain talent from across the generation. With this fluidity and with this flexibility, more and more people from across the different talent teams from across the world may come forward and assist the organization with their specific skills and their experiences, and help the organization grow more further. Now, what can be done to ensure the expectation of the employees? Now, ensuring initiative map back to what these younger generations want from a career can put organizations in a solid stand. We have these 4 points which ensure the expectations of the organization's employee are met out. So, very first one is flexibility and the work-life balance. Now, flexibility means the type of freedom, the degree of freedom or authority that the person is enjoying while performing his task in the organization. So, now that means what is the extent to which he can make his own decisions? Does he has to run every time for his decisions to his supervisor? If this is there, a lot of time will be wasted to run to the supervisor every time for the decision making activity, and of course, it will result into some kind of frustration, because employee will definitely feel that every time he has to take certain decision, he has to run to his supervisor. So, a certain limit of flexibility, limit of authority should be delegated to lower levels in the organization structure. So, when we are deciding on the organization structure, that is to be taken in the host country, over there the organization structure should be such that the authority from top to bottom should be delegated along with responsibility. So, when we are talking about flexibility, it will always come with authority and responsibility. That means, the more you are having authority, the more you are able to feel flexible, you are able to feel freedom in the organization, the more responsibility will be added to the task or the job that you are doing in the organization. Now, work life balance, it means the type of stress handling in the organization. Sometimes what happens when due to pressure or when due to stress, people are not able to balance their professional life with their personal life. So, over there, if initiative is taken from the side of the organization, where it ensures that work life balance is maintained for each and every individual in the organization, people will feel more satisfied and they will feel that their expectations have been met out. So, whatever personal work, whatever professional work is being assigned, the tasks are being assigned to the people, over there it becomes important that they should be maintained with working hours, they should be maintained with constant breaks, canteens should be provided, then sufficient rest should be provided in the continuous working hour of the person. With this, what happens, he feels much relaxed and his efficiency will be more. Along with this, work life balance can be brought about by putting up certain mentoring sessions or guidance sessions for the people who are not able to balance these particular two lives. Secondly, we have making a meaningful impact. Making meaningful impact means whatever kind of processes are being implemented in the organization, suppose new policies are coming or certain new rules and regulations are coming up, they should make a meaningful impact in the organization. People should understand the basic purpose of those policies and rules and what is the exact impact that those policies or rules are going to play in that particular organization. If it is important, the importance of these policies and rules will definitely make an impact on the minds of the people. So, a positive impact will always lead to a phase where the people will try to follow your instructions, will try to follow your orders as they move from top to bottom in the organization structure. So, expectations can only be met out when people move in a particular way accordingly as the organization wants, and these are can be defined through set rules, can be defined to set policies in the organization. Then thirdly, giving experiences more weightage than the rather than the achievements. Now, when we are talking about expectations, we are talking about the satisfaction level of the people. So, over here it becomes important that the organization gives more weightage to the experienced people rather than their achievements. Achievements can be done at a lower age also, at a younger age also, but experience will only come when once a person has handled those positions and has worked for n number of years. So, it is important to check that the job requires experience or it requires achievement, and then only the decision for choosing the experience over the achievement can be done. Lastly, we can say promoting a flexible working environment is now commonplace in many organizations. So, ultimately expectations can be only met out while providing a flexible working environment and taking all measures to maintain work-life balance of the people in the organization. Secondly, we have improved employee experience. Organizations that rank in the upper echelon of the best companies to work with list for sites like Glassdoor and in corporations are continually raising the bar of the employee experience. That means people are loving the work experience that they are having in these organizations. For 2020, CHROs and their team would be wise to revert back the principles on the emphasis the human in the human resources. Now, that means human resources, out of this term human becomes more important for the organization. That means organization takes all the steps to bring about good and rich experience to its humans or to his people. The future organization, founded by Jacob Morgan, one of the world's leading authorities on the future of work, provides organizations with quantifying scoring model to rank their employees' experience. Now, that means employees are being asked to rank the organization according to the experience that they are having in the organization. Those who rank high on the index demonstrate a strong aptitude to meet the changing expectations of the workforce. Now, it means they are given the vibrant workspaces, flexible autonomous work options, fair treatment and sense of purpose, coaches, mentors, etc. Employee growth and development. The organizations are also further focusing on the growth and development of the people through Coursera and Lessonly type of implements. For example, employees of Slack are offered annual stipends of $500 for personal development and up to $2,000 every year for professional development opportunities. Lastly, we have HR data and analytics. HR will increasingly become go-to department for data driven information that can inform the rest of the organization. The people are moving from why turnover is happening and designing programs to address the employee attrition before it happens. What Google has done? Google has built a people analytical department to ensure that all decisions related to people are based on data analytics. So, these were the 4 trends, global trends that need to be understood by the organizations so as to meet the different challenges in the international environment. Thank you.